I can orgasm without using my hands.
Can you really?
And it was proven during an MRI of my brain.
No
An
way.
fMRI, functional MRI, yeah. And so it was done, Barry Karmasaruk, who's going to be ISWISH. He ran the study at Rutgers, and some people knew I could do that, and they're like, you should do this. So I ended up doing it. Yeah, my head was taped down to a tray, and I'm like, I have to be able to breathe and open my jaw. They're like, yeah, you'll be fine with that. And I'm totally covered. And so the only way I could signal an orgasm was my hand on the top and lifting my thumb. So it was 3 minutes on, 30 seconds off, 3 minutes on for 5 rounds. And then I was going to say I had to get grounded, but that was really, I was fucking flying. I was flying through this. So the first half I could touch myself, which I didn't realize after I got there. They're like, well, you can touch yourself. I'm like, well, that's going to be easy. And then the second half, it was move my hand and poof, like flying. There's no other way to put it. So then afterwards, and I had speakers in my ears to, give me the instruction and timing and stuff. And so I'm like, because it's breath and energy work and stuff. And so he goes, we're really interested in what you're doing with the breath and energy work. Would you mind staying in another 10 minutes? Try not to have any orgasms, but if you do, just signal it. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Oh my God. And so I'm like lying there and I'm just throwing my breath around, right? And then I pull up and at my knees, I'm like, oh, this is a loaded one. So I just work it through, doing the little chakra stuff, blasting it out of my head. Instead of recirculating it, I lift my thumb, and I'm like flying. So at the end, I get wheeled out of the MRI. He's taking the tape off my head and he goes, you know what the most fascinating part of that study was? I'm like, what? He goes, we could see that orgasm coming in your brain even before you signaled it at the end.
Welcome to Vaginas, Vulvas, and Vibrators with Jordan Donnell. This is a safe place to learn about women's health and sexual wellness. I'm your host, Jordan Donnell, physician assistant, women's sexual health educator, and intimacy coach. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. It is not intended as medical advice. Please seek your medical professional's direction and guidance. The views and opinions on this podcast reflect my own and my guests and are no representation of any institution or organization that I work for. Well, welcome back to the Vaginas, Vulvas, and Vibrators podcast. This is our first episode back after a 19-month hiatus, and I'm so excited to have the OG, Kim Ayers, with me. We are going to talk all sorts of things, sex toys, one of my favorite topics. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started into the sex industry.
That is always the number one question I get. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited. So basically, it started back in 1987. I can really pinpoint it.
Before I was born.
I know. That's how OG I am. I'm proud of it,
We love
too,
it,
because
yes.
it's like I've lived the history of this, or at least the modern history, because obviously dildos, vibrators go back a long time, dildos much more. And so what happened, I was married for 7.5 years. It was fine. It was boring. I mean, he was boring. It was great. It was no house, no kids, pretty easy. It would just kind of grew apart after that. And then I met somebody in 87 that I fondly called the smut hound, who really turned me on to everything. And actually, it was more about giving me permission to do all of that, because it was a little stifling in my marriage. He didn't want to try anything new. And, I'm like, what about a 3-way? And he's like, why? And, they're like, do I have to explain why? And things like that. Anyway, so 87 met the smut hound, and it was public sex, porn stars, porno stores, sex toys, just strip joints, just keep going on. And I'm like, I love this. So what happened is, it was the confluence of many things at that point. I had lesbian friends that subscribed to a magazine called On Our Backs, which is it was called Entertainment for the Adventurous Lesbian. And what it was showing real women, and I just put that in quotes, being sexual, as opposed to Playboy images and Penthouse and things like that, which is what they would condition, oh, that's 2 women together. And they're like, no, we do butch femme, we do butch and stuff like this. So it was a magazine for that. And I was like, oh my God, I love this magazine. I started writing for it. So that was before you'd send things in the mail and stuff like that. So I started writing for them. So that was kind of going on but one track. And then just all in with that. And in the meantime, in 1988, I started working at Harvard University. So I've always been comfortable around the sex thing. So I just wound up being like the girlfriend that would take somebody to go buy a vibrator. And it was, of course, really crappy porno stores in the combat zone, if you know Boston, and things. And so I'd have no problem. They knew me at all these stores because I went to them so often, like usually to meet with porn stars that were doing tours and things. So they knew me, and I'd check out what was new, and I'd use normal voice tones, which was something really different. Never mind a woman single walking into a porn store. Sounds like a setup for a joke, you know. So I would go with friends and things. And then that was happening, and just a voracious appetite, which I still have around all things sex. What happened, I did a workshop at Del Williams. She founded Eve's Garden, which is considered the first female-friendly sex toy store that opened, I think, in 1972 in Manhattan. So I went to a workshop on the G-spot and female ejaculation, which was given in New York City by Fanny Fatale, who is the founder and publisher of On Our Backs. Now, in the meantime, or no, it was given by, quote, Deb Sundahl, which was her real name. So I go there, and then I realized Fanny Fatale and Deb Sundahl are the same person, and I'm like, oh my God, I write for On Our Backs, you know? So that was like this incredible connection. And then what happened is I went there. She had presented in Boston like a night before, and the only place that would have her speak was the gay men's bookstore, because the two feminist bookstores, God forbid a woman talk about sex. They didn't want her. So she showed up at the gay men's bookstore, which was like, yeah, sure. So I thought the hands-on workshop would be a lot more fun. And it was Columbus Day weekend, 3-day weekend. So easy for me to go from Boston, New York. So I went to it. And then just, afterwards we got talking because we had this great connection. And I said, yeah, you were, at Glad Day bookstore in Boston. I'm like, we could use a women's sex toy store in Boston. I could do that. Bolt of lightning hit my head at that moment. I come from a retail background, both sides of my family, generations-wise. Grew up on top of my father's furniture store. It's like retail's in my blood. My siblings are all in retail. It's like, that's a no-brainer. So I went back to my lesbian friend's place, and I said, you know what? I'm going to open up a women's sex toy store in Boston. And they're like, if anybody can do it, it's you. And that was it. That was Columbus Day weekend, 1992. And then I opened up my sex toy store, aptly called Grand Opening in November 93. People were like, you still have your signs up? I'm like, that's the name of the store. So I'm putting together a book. I have to finish it. It's called I Left My Job at Harvard to Sell Rubber Dicks to Girls.
Oh, my God.
Which is true. So there's no turning back since then. I mean, like I said, I'm crazy passionate about it. There's never a dull moment in sex.
No.
That's it. I mean, there's just, it's vast, it's huge. And what it does, it comes down to one person, you. Comes down to the person driving the bus, the person parking the car, person walking the street. There's, and what they like and what they do and what they don't do, which is totally fine. So it's fascinating. I get questions all the time. People go, oh, I have a question. You've probably heard it before. And I go, yeah, but not from you. So it's a new question because they have a reason for that. And to me, that fascinates me. It's like, not that they'd be nosy, say, oh, why are you asking me that? But just they have a reason to ask. So I answer them. And if I don't know the answer, I let them know I don't know the answer and maybe give a reference to like where they could get more information on it. But everything like fetishes, just goes on and on. Health. I'm a total science sex geek. Mm-hmm. It's fascinating to me. It's totally fascinating. And that's why I love it so much. And that's why I'm so dedicated and so blessed, to be in the business. I ended up selling Grand Opening in 2005. I was actually on the internet in 95. And I got grandopening.com because I'm like, I guess I should get grandopening.com, It was a pretty much free-for-all at that point. So I've been selling on the web since then, and at first through my store when I had my store, and then after '05, it's an affiliate site since grandopening.com. So
Amazing.
yeah,
I did
totally.
not know the background
Oh
story.
yeah, totally incredible, and just like the transformation of sex toys. Like we no longer call them sex toys, but sexual health and wellness products, which is much more mainstream accepted. And I get that, but I like saying sex toys because it's a toy,
It's fun.
and that's the thing. And when I would sell them, and even when I talk to people today, and sell them various things, it's like it's a toy. Remember when you were a kid and you got a toy and you got all excited? Have that same energy around it.
Yeah.
Don't put those stigmas like, maybe my partner won't like it, or blah, blah, blah. Don't put those stigmas. It's like, hey, I'm bringing home a toy. Let's see. Let's have fun with this. To have that kind of energy around it will totally make for a better experience. Period.
Yeah.
Whether it's by yourself, whether partner, just whatever, it's going to be a better experience.
Yeah.
So
I love
yeah,
that. I
so
love that.
it's pretty amazing. And I think of, when I opened my store, our options were jelly rubber, which had phthalates in it and stinky, and don't get anything with phthalates in it. Because they've actually eliminated them pretty much in sex toys. Long story too. Vinyl or latex or hard plastic, and that was it. I mean, it was before silicone. Silicone really took off in 1997, but they were available before that. Do you know the history of silicone
No,
dildos?
tell me. Give me the
It's
story.
really good.
Ooh,
It's
I love
really
this.
good. So what happened in about, I think like 68, maybe 67, could have been a little earlier than that. This man from Guyana, Gosnell Duncan, he had this beautiful sing-songy voice like this, Gosnell, and really chill. So he got in an industrial accident, rendering his penis unusable. He loved his wife. He wanted to have sex with his wife. So all of the things back then were quote unquote flesh colored. He's a dark skinned man. So that's like, no. So he was like, he wanted to have something that closely resembled a penis in texture. Because, you could get hard plastic or vinyl. I mean, yeah, you could get vinyl back then.
Doesn't sound comfortable.
No, and it was all that tan color, right? So what he did, he stumbled upon a material and took 2 years to develop it with the chemists from GE, and that was silicone bathtub caulking. That's the origin. So it came from that because it's firm enough but soft enough. So he ended up, again, after 2 years, making a mold of a realistic penis. I think he had like 3 different sizes. And the base of it was actually like a D shape. So it was round and then flat on the bottom. So a man could wear it and it wouldn't crush his genitals. So he started making those. And then I don't know like where the harness part came in, but you can, whatever, we're talking about dildos here. So he started making those. And then so Thieves Garden opened in 72. And then I think around 75, 76, he saw an advertisement for Eve's Garden and he said, oh, I wonder if lesbians would like these. And so he brought them to Del Williams. And back then, the whole thing, lesbians don't want anything that looked like penises. So then she's like, well, maybe if we could make them like smooth, that didn't have, a penis look to it. And that was a whole big thing too of is penetration heterosexual? And this is like lived in experience, like 70s. That was a lot of the attitude and stuff. And for some people it is today, but then whatever, there's all different levels. And so Susie Bright had a great quote, is penetration is as heterosexual as kissing, which I think is an excellent quote. So he made these that, weren't obvious, like penises, but like this, and then made them in softer colors, like light pink and lavender. So he had tan, light pink, lavender, brown, and black were his colors. So I connected with him and started selling those. And that was the only option for a little while. Oh, there was another option. This woman made these beautiful artistic dildos, but her fill rate was horrible. And as a retailer, it's all about fill rate. You got to have product on the shelves. So along comes 1997 when Vixen Creations started by Marilyn, who was the accountant at Good Vibrations, who realized it was really tough to keep the shelves with these silicone dildos. So she started that company, which is still alive today, which is great, Vixen Creations. And then the other one was Tantus, which is also alive. So Tantus was started by Metis Black. And so those two companies came out in 97. Now, what also happened in 97, okay, so there's 4 silicone dildo companies. 4. Silicone lubricants. Boy, I think there were like 3 at that point. There was Wet. I don't think, no, Pure wasn't out there yet. So there were very few, or they just had their 30th. So maybe Pure. Anyway, only 3 silicone. Now, what happened is one of the silicone lubricants, I don't know which one, made a chemical reaction with the silicone dildo. So I think whichever brand, right? And so what it does, it would make it sticky. So it would actually change the composition of the silicone dildo. So what rumor, I just hesitate saying rumor, don't use silicone lubricant with a silicone toy. That's when it started, 1997. Because, oh my God, it'll make a chemical reaction, it'll be sticky, right? Well, do the math. 4 silicone companies, 3 silicone lube companies. How many are there out now?
Tons.
Exactly. So I'm the myth buster around that. If you like a silicone lube and you like a silicone toy, get your toy, put 2 drops of it on somewhere on the toy where you're not going to use. There's always going to be a part at the base or just any part. Put 2 drops, maybe 3, leave it on overnight. Wipe it off. I can guarantee it's not going to be sticky because it just doesn't happen anymore. So that's the thing. So I always try to tell people, don't worry about it. Obviously, you want to really clean your toy afterwards, which you would do anyway, but I would even use something to break down the silicone, just like you'd use if you used an oil, to break down the oil. So something like Dawn dish detergent, it's pretty.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because it breaks down grease.
So let's talk about that. When I used to sell sex toys with Pure Romance way back in the day. Sure. I mean, it's been 15 years. I did it for 11 years, started 15 years ago. It's crazy to say that because it's like I've really been in the industry for a long time. But, we always say, like, you need to clean your toys properly. And one of the big things is don't put it in the dishwasher. Don't use, like, hand soap, dish soap. What do you recommend for cleaning toys?
Truth be told, I'm really lazy. I have baby wipes next to my bed. If they can clean a baby's ass, it can do really well with a sex toy that I'm using only by myself, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm like, not that I never wash them, but I'm like, okay,
night.
That's all. Just to wipe the surface stuff on it. Not that I'm against cleaning by any means or stuff like that, but a lot of times the products that I use are smooth or they're glass or metal or something like that. So they're not going to be harboring germs. And then if something like is textured, I'll wipe it off, but then I'll wash it like the next day or something, and I'll use antibacterial soap. I mean, antibacterial soap or even hand sanitizer, that's what, 75%, 80% alcohol? I mean, no detergent or even toy cleaner. Sorry, manufacturers who make toy cleaners are gonna, be that efficient.
And if you look at the ingredients of the toy cleaners, it's literally water and alcohol. Exactly.
But that's why they make dish detergent and kitchen detergent and hand soap. It's all the same shit. It really is. So that's, like I said, unless you're sharing them or unless you're like putting stuff in your butt, that's, because obviously there's a lot more germ and bacteria in there, it's pretty much easy. Just baby wipes. Huh. I know. I always feel guilty saying that.
That's so smart though. Like I'm kind of a lazy girl. I like to rinse mine. I just rinse it when I remember.
Right. Because it's you that's using it's yourself.
Yeah.
So
do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, right.
But baby wipes would be so much easier because I love path of least resistance. Like right next to me, ready to go, not something I have to think about or prepare for.
Exactly. And then you can wipe yourself up easily with that too. So they totally, and they're really inexpensive.
Yes.
I mean, they make all these wipes, after sex wipes and all stuff like that.
Yes. I totally have some after sex
trailing
wipes.
off because I've done work with plenty of them, and it's like nothing against those products, but
Yeah.
But when you come right down to it, so
Get a baby wipe.
exactly,
Yeah.
baby wipes are fine.
I carry the sex wipes. This is actually funny, but I carry them not because they're for after sex, but sometimes you need to freshen up, and I like that they're in a pouch, which you can get baby wipes probably like single size too. But I love that I can just throw it in my purse if I'm got
For
a long
sure.
flight.
Yep. Yeah, they're totally handy that way for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are nice. But like I say, bedside, or anywhere side, car.
So over the years, you've been doing this forever. We talked about where silicone came from. What are some other like crazy, amazing interventions or innovations that you've seen over the years in sex toys?
It's pretty interesting because it's, just seeing the whole everything, is that the technologies, designs, and usages, I'll say, have always been women focused, or have been since the market really changed around 2000. That women were starting to buy toys for themselves, and that has affected so much. Like packaging's the first thing, because packaging used to be, again, when I started my store, it would be have a barely naked chick on it, or almost naked, of a vibrator, with a vibrator. And the vibrator, with clam packaging, and then, a naked chick or bikini or something like this, because it was appealing to the male gaze to buy the vibrator for his partner. So that started shifting like 2000, not really late 90s. It was like starting to around 2000, because they wanted to appeal more to the women buyers. You go to an adult store now, and I'll tell you, I can't even count on one hand how many images of naked people are on packaging anymore. They're so like non-gender specific and things like this, which is great. So that shift started around then. And again, it was silicone became more accessible to make products with, and that was a good impact. And then probably I would say 04, 05 maybe is when China started making silicone products. And that was a big like, what? That was a game changer too, because I'll say it. The purity was guaranteed by companies here in the US that would manufacture them. But when China started making them, people were like, is there really all 100% silicone in that silicone toy that costs like a quarter of how much an American one is? So that was a big issue for, I'd say, a couple years. Like, can you really trust it? Is it really silicone? And things like that. That's really faded, because I think, silicone's just become more available for products and things like that. And I think there's less questioning around products made in China. I mean, there is, don't get me wrong, but in general, like especially like around silicone toys. So that shift, like I said, started around 05, and it's continued for many years. And then what I noticed about 8 years ago, because COVID's definitely a demarcation line in pretty much everybody's timeline. So maybe about 3 years before that, I really started noticing a drastic change in the penis sex toys and the quality and what they could do. And that's been fascinating to follow. I'm the contributing editor for pleasure products for AVN, which is a major publication, and it's pretty amazing, and I totally freaking love my job. Like, it's the best job I've ever had, other than owning my own store, honest, in the industry. It's been so great. And so I get all the newest and latest things because I review them, and people know that I can help people and things like that. So I see the latest and greatest, and I'm like, damn, I wish I had a penis to try this one. This like suction and like everything, the spinning, the thrusting, the material that it's made of, it's just boggles my mind. Just the incredible variety that's come out within such a short period of time, relatively, for penis stuff. I mean, it's really great. And I think a lot of that has to do with the consumer that said, nothing against Fleshlight, but
we need more.
There's not a whole lot to Fleshlight. I mean, Fleshlight was the first to market, so that's why everybody knows it. But it's basically a sleeve that you put your dick into. It doesn't do suction. It does suction, but you have to do it manually with the tip, or with the cap at the end, and things like that. But that's, it has the market share because so many people are familiar with it. So there's so many variations to that now of that type of stick your dick in it kind of stuff that it just boggles my mind. I mean, just it's incredible. So I stick my fingers in them and kind of get a feel around. And every once in a while I have a lucky tester, you know, and it's funny because while they're using it, I'm like looking at them like a science project. Like, so how is that?
Oh my goodness.
You know, like this, and they're like kind of getting off on it. And I'm like, how is that working? I mean, what is it stimulating where? Is it like Fortunately, none of them had said, shut up, I'm getting off.
That is so funny. Recently, I was trying out some condoms that I got from One Condoms. They're really thin ones. I'm blank Flex. The Flex ones. So I was trying it out. And the whole time I'm like, ooh, how does that feel for you? Do you notice a difference? Does that feel better? So I love it. When you were at AVN, did you see the guy, or I guess it was in the B2B section, they had the robot one where it like stroked and did different things and holy shit.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's so funny around the robot thing. They've been around since Disneyland and animatronics and, you know, and things like this. But now that like it's kind of gone into the sex, it's like, oh my God, there's a robot that can jerk you off. It's like, well, they could probably have figured out Abraham Lincoln jerking you off from the Hall of Presidents. They just don't do that because it's Disneyland. But yeah, I mean, so the technology's really always been there, but now they're just applying it to people that like probably don't want to leave the house to have a girlfriend. Which is a legit thing. This is a legit thing, and it kind of scares the shit out of me a little bit. Is that you don't have to have a relationship to have a relationship.
Yeah, with AI.
And AI, you know, I mean, you can just keep going on. And obviously there's no turning back from that. But it kind of makes me sad because these people will look, it's all by choice. It's whatever makes you happy. That's always been my, you know, people are like, oh, I'm still a virgin. I'm like, well, are you happy? That's the main thing, you know? And sometimes they're like, yeah. It's like, no, you're not. I can tell, you know, and stuff. But that's the thing. If they're happy with their AI doll or their sex doll, which is like an incredible market, then good. I mean, I still hesitate a little bit because that you don't have social. I don't say you don't have, but there won't be socialization skills as if there was a real person there. But then a lot of people are like, I can't be bothered with a girlfriend, and I still want to get off. Yeah. I get that.
I mean, there's
just you can go right down the list. Exactly. So I get that. And like I said, it has me concerned, but it's not going to be the end of the world. But yeah, but freaking the sales of sex dolls have like,
I was mind blown.
Staggering.
When I saw all of the robots, I was like totally shocked at the number of robots there and that they're selling. Because for me, like, human connection is important.
Right.
Like, sex, I need a person for not all of my sex.
Right.
But it's important to me. And so taking that human aspect out wouldn't work for me. Right. So it just shocked me to see that, like, there's such a huge market for this.
And it's probably, you know, people that weren't, and this is just, again, just guessing, my opinion. Speculation of, like, people that haven't developed that relationship, maybe because of parents that wouldn't let them or give them the freedom to create a relationship with another person and stuff. And so I think that's just like really starting to filter into adulthood for so many people, and that they think that that's okay. Which again, you know, I don't want to be that old fart, you know, don't go out and have a relationship, you know, and stuff like this. But it's just kind of like, it's real interesting. I mean, like I said, just to really find just the whole sex doll thing. I mean, I was given a sex doll. I wrote an extensive article about them about, 6 years ago or something. And I was given one. It's 85 pounds. It's got a metal skeleton, right? So it's like moving her is a project, you know? I mean, it's really it's like, dead weight. It's dead weight. And I'm like, what do people do with these? Like, what do you do when you're going to have somebody over? You shove her under a sofa? Do you put the sheet on the bed and you put her, I know, and this, right. This is like, what do you do with these? Huh. But I guess people have figured out something to do with them. But yeah, it's like, she's pretty big, 85 pounds, and like, so yeah.
I
But
can only imagine that package showing up.
it looks like a giant coffin basically, and they're always packaged with the heads off. So yeah,
Oh.
which is I don't know exactly why that is, but yeah, when you buy one, the head's off. And then
Interesting.
yeah, and then the thing is you can buy additional wigs and stuff like this, so you can change the way she looks. And when it's a
Whoa,
female
this
one,
is so fascinating.
it's totally fascinating. Yeah, just sex dolls and stuff. This is why I love this industry so much. You can just rabbit hole so much stuff in it. Just
Yeah.
like deep too.
One of the big changes I've noticed over the years is more of like the app controlled, remote controlled options, which is really nice way to do long distance or just like spice it up outside of the home too.
For sure, for sure. I really like the remote control for many, many reasons. I work a lot with disability communities, so a remote control is like big game changer on that because they don't, it depends on the disability, is they don't have to hold the product to use it. Or
Yeah.
to at least turn on vibrations and things like that. So that's been really great, and that has to do with just kind of like name your disability type of thing, but easy for buttons to push and to change and stuff. So that's been really good. And the thing is remote. So I lived in the remote control everything. When it first started, let's see, I think maybe I had sold the first one. I say maybe 98, and it was a little tiny vibe about this big, like thumb sized, about that, and it had a wire, a really thin wire coming out of it, and then remote control, and people would put the bullet in and pull it out by the wire, and it would break it, and it was so delicate and stuff, and it was like $200 because that's how much they were back then. So now I see things that are like silicone rechargeable remote for $30. I'm like, I mean, it's so amazing just to experience all to be witness to it. It's just incredible.
What are some like changes you anticipate to see in the industry over the next couple of years?
I think it's already starting to go there. I think a lot more and more rapidly is things that don't look like sex toys. That are
like the tentacles.
Yeah, well, that too, but like there at AVN, there was one. It's a clock, and it's got a little. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was a phone, one that looks like the phone, and then you lift it off, and then it's a suction device there, and the clock has like a little like finger-sized toy that's like really convenient. And then I think the other thing, it might be another suction thing too, but they're so cleverly designed. Last year I went to, and I'll be going this year too. I'm so excited with AVN to API, which is the sex toy show in Shanghai.
Oh.
400 booths, 3 levels. Amazing.
You're going to be tired.
It's a marathon, it's a marathon. And you see stuff that you're like, that is so freaking beautiful. And that's a sex toy of just how it's made, how it's used, how the design, everything. And that blows me away. And what, when you go there, obviously it's with the manufacturers. So you're like, okay, let's see what's going to wind up in the US because it's a global market. Mm-hmm. So it depends if like one of the companies picks it up or something like that. Chinese manufacturers are coming to the US with their own products, which is, it's good. It's good. I mean, we have them at our show and things because they're pretty damn creative with a lot of things. So it's good. It's a matter of like opening up the market more, and then also too, I'm really big on warranties. Don't buy something that's going to break down. That's not good for anybody. Don't make things that are going to break down because you can be using it, and then if you're using it with a partner, everybody gets pissed off, and it's not a great experience. You throw it across the room. That was a waste of $80 or something like that. No, have something that's really a quality product. So I've seen like plenty of really incredibly designed ones that are quality products that you're like, oh my God. And quiet too. I mean, that's a big part. They're so quiet now compared to.
You can use them in your dorm rooms or your apartments.
Totally. I mean, that's been a big shift too.
So you've tried hundreds of millions of thousands of toys. What is your favorite toy?
There's a few favorites. There's one, it was or is made by XGen. I forget what line it is with them. XGen's actually a distributor I can't remember what it is, but it's an S shape. First of all, I'm not a big clit stim girl. Never have been. G spot, bring it on. So that's been like ever since I figured this shit out in my teens. Like inside is that's anyway. So it's a subtle S shape, and one half of it is hard acrylic, and then the other half is silicone with the control in it. But it's all smooth, so you can actually use that part internally or the glass part. It might I think it's acrylic, yeah. So it's so easy to hold. You can use it as a dildo, you can use it as a vibrator, you can use either side. You can use it externally, the vibrating candle part and stuff. And that's just like my go-to because it's really comfortable.
I love
There's
that.
something that I do too, which is kind of interesting. And there might be people that are listening that are like, I thought I was the only one doing that. So, you see blip up in the news and every once in a while or whatever, like the jade egg,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so this happens to me and it's pretty awesome. You insert it before you go to sleep and you go to sleep and it can trigger really erotic dreams.
No.
But
really?
if you think about it, it's being connected. It's hard. So it's not like a tampon in there or something like that, but it's something hard that's pressing against, the sweet spots and everything like that. And that is like, yeah, I think I want to do that tonight. Pop it in. But you have to remember that it's there when you go to the bathroom in the morning because you hear kaplunk pretty loud. And you're like, oh shit,
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, it's pretty awesome to do that. And that's like, you can do rose quartz, which is great, crystal to use and stuff. Or, the rose quartz are really good ones because they come in really nice.
I haven't tried any of the eggs.
You can use them for doing Kegels. Oh, this is a good one. So my friend hates the fact, and I kind of agree, that all these medical things are named after white men doctors, right? So Kegel is named after Arnold Kegel, right?
Didn't know.
So she calls them puss-ups. She's like, I don't want to name it Kegel after this guy. So puss-ups, it's a pretty good one. So the Kegel balls, you could do the same thing. Kegel balls, put them inside and go to sleep. But just the using like a crystal, I think is just that much more cooler. And
You have the spiritual connection there too.
it's pretty amazing. Yeah, I've got a lot of that going on. That's a biggie part for me, like chakra work. And I laugh because I'm like, I do a lot of work with people on that. I was trained by Betty Dodson in 1997. It was her first training the trainer program. So at her place in New York. So there was only like 8 of us or something that did that. So it was over the course of several weeks and stuff. And so that between that and then there's a really great program called Body Electric, which was started by Joseph Kramer in response to gay men dying of AIDS. So it was like there's got to be another way that we can connect sexual or erotically without exchanging bodily fluids and killing each other, basically. So he developed this program. It's a ton of breathing and chakra energy work. And so what happened in like 97, I guess Annie Sprinkle said, we need this for women. So she developed it for women. And it's pretty powerful stuff. I cannot recommend doing that enough. Just like I've seen, because I've also facilitated some of them and stuff like this, and I've seen so many transitions of people. I mean, you can do gender specific and then they have, whatever, like that, of just people that come in and they're like really tense and they're like, I don't know why I'm here, but I need to be here. And at the end, they're just like blissed out, like I had no idea. Goodness. And it's the power of Eros, which is really powerful stuff. So I started doing these workshops like in, I think, 97, 98 and stuff, and just really, really started making connection with breath and energy work. So I do a lot of that teaching. And here's a really cool factoid. I can orgasm without using my hands.
Can you really?
And it was proven during an MRI of my brain.
No
an
way.
fMRI, functional MRI, yeah. And so it was done. Barry Komisaruk, who's going to be at ISWISH, he ran the study at Rutgers, and some people knew I could do that, and they're like, you should do this. So I ended up doing it. Yeah, my head was taped down to a tray, and I'm like, I have to be able to breathe and open my jaw. They're like, yeah, you'll be fine with that. And I totally covered. Yeah, and so the only way I could signal an orgasm was my hand on the top and lifting my thumb. So it was 3 minutes on, 30 seconds off, 3 minutes on for 5 rounds. And then I was going to say I had to get grounded, but that was really, I was fucking flying. I was flying through this. So the first half I could touch myself, which I didn't realize after I got there. They're like, well, you can touch yourself. I'm like, well, that's going to be easy. And then the second half, it was move my hand and poof, like flying. There's no other way to put it. So then afterwards, and I had speakers in my ears to, give me the instruction and timing and stuff. And so I'm like, because it's breath and energy work and stuff. And so he goes, we're really interested in what you're doing with the breath and energy work. Would you mind staying in another 10 minutes? Try not to have any orgasms, but if you do, just signal it. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like that. And so I'm like lying there and I'm just throwing my breath around, right? And then I pull up and at my knees, I'm like, oh, there's a loaded one. So I just work it through, doing the little chakra stuff, blasting it out of my head instead of recirculating it. I lift my thumb, and I'm like flying. So at the end, I get wheeled out at an MRI. He's taking the tape off my head and he goes, you know what the most fascinating part of that study was? I'm like, what? He goes, we could see that orgasm coming in your brain even before you signaled it at the end. I'm like,
holy shit.
Awesome, yeah. So it's this shit was proven and stuff. And I was like, this coming out of that MRI. I was so, and the attendants, the researchers, they're kind of looking at me like, whoa, we just saw that shit happen. Yeah.
Oh my
goodness.
That
was great. Yeah, and that was a learned skill. It can be a learned skill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of it, and this is the thing, like I say, I work with a lot of people, mostly women, because I almost can relate to them more that way and stuff. I always get, I've never had an orgasm before. I'm like, what is it that you fear? And they're like, letting go.
Dun, dun.
And I like, why? And it's letting go of control. And I go, why? And they get backed into a corner. And it's like, you don't have to control it. And it's when they lose control, women like this. And when I interview guys, stripper, they're like, oh my God, when a woman loses control, you go on another planet. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And it's like women fear that. A lot of them, they'll stop. They won't continue to breathe through their orgasms and things like that because they fear letting go and losing their shit, screaming or grabbing sheets or just all that, because God forbid you start acting like an animal during sex. Because animals don't care, and that's why they do that. We're animals. When you let yourself go to be an animal during sex, you're going to have the most amazing sex. Oh, I can't do that. Yes, you can. It's I was going to say, don't get me started on this, because I've talked to so many people that are like, just let go, you'll be fine. The world will still circulate. You'll still eat the next day, But it's funny, so many people. And then they're like, oh, then it goes into how they were raised, their religion, their partner. It goes into all this shit that gets in the way of totally losing it and stuff. And it's no, just let yourself do that. And then when they do, they're like, oh my God, I see what you mean. I'm like, yeah, that's what it's about and stuff. It's pretty amazing. And then, breathing and breath work is the main thing. It really is. I mean, sex toys are great, but boy, if you can't circulate that energy, sex toys are only going to do so much. That's why I fucking hate when they on packages, guaranteed orgasm. It's like, no, it's not. Stop putting that on there. You'll orgasm every time. Oh, so, but whatever.
I love when a man reminds me to breathe when I'm having sex. Because sometimes you forget.
Exactly.
You forget, and you don't even realize you're trying to control it. And when they're like, just breathe, you're like, oh shit, yeah, thanks.
Right, exactly. Which is why the breath and energy, being aware of the movement of it, which is what it's all about, really helps a lot of just being conscious breathing, which obviously can apply to much more than just sex. I mean, it's a whole big thing.
Yeah.
But really incorporating it into sex can be a real game changer. And then you've got the tantric thing and all stuff like that. So like I say, yet another rabbit hole.
Yeah, there's so many rabbit holes we can go on.
That's what we love.
I'm curious, for a lot of people, maybe they've never purchased a sex toy. Where would you recommend somebody start if they're going to the store for the first time?
Sure. The first question is, what do you like? And the question, inside, outside, either, both, not sure. So if you like external, like that's, oh, I really like external. Okay, so that gives you a hint that a clitoral toy would be great. So something external. What I always recommend is something that could be used internally in case you do want to slip it in. So something like a bullet, yeah, you could use that, but it's not, it might not be satisfying inside. But you can use kind of any cylindrical toy, exterior wise, and then slip it in if you feel like it. You don't have to, and things like that. And that's the whole thing when you introduce a vibrator to yourself or within a partnership, is get your body used to the sensation. Just don't turn it on and go and put it right there because, yeah, your body's not used to that, and it could be like whoa and stuff. So like work it around the vulva, work it around the penis, around the edge, the bases, the thighs, to really work around the breast, the nipples. Really work it around your body before you go put it to where you want to use it. Because your body will say, yeah. Oh, speaking of which, that's the most important thing. Get what appeals to you visually. Because that's your body saying, this is good. Yeah, because if you look at something too big and go, no, your body's not going to want it.
You're not going to enjoy it
when
you go to use it either.
It's not going to happen. It's going to sit in the drawer. Yeah. Or the color, which is, I don't understand that. You don't have eyes down there, but whatever. So it's like, that looks really nice, or I like that design. That's half the battle right there, because it's your body that's going to be using it. So when your body and your eyes and your senses are like, oh, I like that, that's already a plus right there. So to totally do that for sure. So
that's a good tip.
Yeah, so that's pretty much, see what you like. And if you're not sure, get something easy. Again, like a real basic cylindrical one. The bullets, oh my God, bullet vibrators have, again, it blows my mind. They're so nice. So a bullet vibrator, it's just a straight cylindrical one, usually about 4 inches tall. Yeah, about 4 inches. I'm really good with size. Believe me, I'm really good at that. So those are really good. They make them real sturdy but soft and flexible now, and they're silicone and rechargeable. Those are excellent to start out with because you can use it interior. I mean, you can use it exterior. They're not big. You could still put it interior, not anally, but vaginally for sure. So you don't want to use anything anally. It doesn't have a flared base on it, so it doesn't go in all the way. So get what appeals to you visually. Like if something looks too big, and if you're buying at grandopening.com, check your measurements, because 8 inches by 2 inches doesn't sound too big, and then when you get it in, you're like, what was I thinking? So this is really important to check the dimensions of things. And
that's a great tip too.
And if you don't you can, like, if you don't know where to start, maybe something inside. You can either think of a partner that you had that you really like their size. You can do the old cucumber trick. Recommended candles, but I'm like, candles, they could be like, candle, not so much, and stuff. Yeah. But just like you say, something visually, because that's like the number one reason for sure.
You're gonna laugh at me, but the way I pick my wine bottles is based on visual appearance as well.
Don't surprise me.
If it looks pretty, I want it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what
one I got recently says, do epic shit. I'm like, absolutely.
That's it.
And I remember it, right? That's the crazy part. I actually remember it. Or the one that my ex picked, this one. This is hilarious. A pig with a butcher knife. When I kicked him out, I drank that one.
That was subtle. That's it. You're like, maybe we should think about our relationship. Picking a wine with a butcher knife and a pig on it. So,
this has been amazing to talk with you and finally sit down. I mean, we have known each other for a while, met a handful of times, but to finally sit down and have a conversation with you has been awesome. So thank you. Thank you for being the #1 episode coming back in, or the first episode coming back in.
Yep. I've got to have you on my podcast too. Sex Chat with Kim Ayers. So, yeah, I've got to fire it up again, but I'm doing that. So
let's do it.
It's exciting.
Absolutely do it. Where can the list? Well, before we get to that, 2 questions.
Okay.
First of all, what are you most excited to explore sexually right now?
I just think, because I love so much of it, and I don't, I'll know it when it happens, because
You don't plan for it.
I don't plan for it, and it just happens.
I love that.
It just happens. So yeah, so I don't know. I don't an answer. And that's a big part, is I say yes. I'm not like, I say yes to a new experience. I say yes to especially around the sex thing, because how do you know if you will like it unless you try it? That's really big.
I have a rule where the first time I try something, I will never base whether I like it or not off of that. I want to try things at least twice before I decide if it's for me or not for me.
Yeah, that works. What's the other question?
Yeah. How do you define pleasure?
What works in your head? Yeah. What is the sensual, not sexual, but what is the thing that triggers the most sensations to get to that point of pleasure? So is it touch, smell, face? It's all the senses you can go down. So it's when it's combined that it's like the ultimate and stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, I could, like I say, go down the whole list on that because it's pretty great.
Well, where can the listeners find you at?
They can find me on, let's see, Instagram, Kim Ayers, Kim AIRS, TikTok, The Kim Ayers, X, I'm not on that so much, Facebook, I think, what is that, all of them? And then the podcast, Sex Chat with Kim Ayers. Oh, yeah. On Cameo, I'm Naughty Grandma. I don't even have kids, never mind a grandma. But yeah, I make really funny custom videos on that. So that's a fun one.
That is so fun.
Yeah, and so I do all sorts of them, birthdays, pep talks. Just like birthdays are the big ones, like especially like 21-year-old birthdays. I'm like, okay, let's have fun with this. So yeah, they get a lot of times when I get booked, guys are like, oh, I want to give them sex tips. And I'm thinking, thank you. So I crack out my vulva puppet, or sometimes like a realistic vulva and be like, okay, this is what you want to touch. Don't do, like, the one thing I want to, like when there's a clitoris, I'm like, don't be that guy that just keeps rubbing and go, oh, did you get off yet? No, there's more to it than that. So like, it's really nice thinking that I can like maybe influence somebody in their 20s, like, okay, try this, don't try that, type of thing. So it's really fun. So yeah, Cameo is Naughty Grandma.
That's great.
That's a fun one, too.
I'm going to have to go check that out.
Yeah. There's some good videos up there, and it's good.
Well, thank you for chatting with me.
Absolutely. Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you for joining today and continuing to bring awareness to women's health. If you love the show, please subscribe so you never miss another episode, and leave a review for others to see. If you want to see me on the daily, you can check out my bio for links to all my pages. Be sure to share this episode with your girlfriends. Thanks again, and see you next episode.